Mike, David Moore, Dallas Morning News. During this three-game winning streak, what has impressed you most about your team or stands out about the way they've responded and played in this moment?
Well, I think like anything, you always want to carry your preparation into the performance, and I think our process and the way our players are not overreacting to certain situations in games, and I think that's important, particularly in September, because there's still, you still got some, segments of players that are growing together as far as connection. You look at our left side of the line, offensive line, for instance, would be an example of that. So I just like the way the chemistry on the sideline as far as operation. Part of it too is we're in the third year of being together, so our flow is of operation, our pace of operation, all that is a lot better, and I think it really has led to our guys just being pretty consistent here these last 3 weeks.
You talk about September football a lot. Is that a big part of what you're saying? You're going to be hit with stuff that we just couldn't scout, so be ready for it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so September football was definitely part of the unscouted look percentage. We had a couple on offense. They hit us with the narco blitz twice in it for a run pressure that was effective for them. So I mean, you're still seeing some of that. But I'd also, I'll spend the majority of my time tonight and tomorrow just really heavy into the self scout, because now we have played 4 games. So you are who you are after 4 weeks, and it's like a lot of things in this game. You spend the whole off season and training camp preparing to go play a certain way. Things happen, injuries, so forth, and you're led to play the game, properly to win. And I think our team's done a good job of that. But what you put on tape is ultimately who you are. So now that we've had 4 weeks of information, we've got to make sure we're on top of it.
Clarkson for Worcester Telegram. Fourth quarter, 11 minutes to go. You guys get a shank punt. They get the ball. First 10 at your 30. And
Mr. Positive, you think that?
It was positive. If you get a first 10 at your 30, you think there's no way.
It was factual.
Yeah, no. To hold them out of the end zone, what does that say about your defense? I mean, they get nothing out of that. I mean, that was a chance for them to get back in the game.
Yeah, definitely. No, I mean, in field position was really a struggle the whole day. I mean, really until we start putting some pressure on their punter, we were able to, to get it flipped there. But field position was a challenge all day. But so I think our defense just hold them to the 1 touchdown was huge. 10 points is huge, and it's really been the one constant all 4 weeks, and and we were definitely playing to that.
Jonah Javad, WFAA. If I had asked you a month ago, or had told you a month ago, that Cooper Rush would have more wins through week 4 than Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Justin Herbert, you would say what?
You wasted your time on a lot of unnecessary research. Yeah, that's good. No, but thank you. Thank you. But yeah, I just think it's a tribute to Cooper, and the guys have just you see it every year. You see it every week. Someone has to step up. We had Jordan Lewis go down in pregame, so and Deron goes right in there and plays on short notice. So you have to have it. You can't win without it, and I think it's awesome. Personally, I think it's really cool for Cooper, because to see him to have this kind of success, and for as long as he's been in the league, and it's not everybody gets their opportunity right away. He's had to wait for his, and he's definitely delivered.
Patrick.
Coach Patrick Ball from DallasCowboys.com. Speaking of Jordan Lewis, you lose him pregame, but over the course of the game, you also lose Noah Brown and Quinn Bohanna. Big game coming up in LA. Do you know the status of those two?
Yeah, I think both those guys are scheduled to potentially practice this week. So got a good report on both Noah and Bohanna.
Babe
Loftberg, Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Obviously, Rams playing tonight, an exponent. The majority of you, well, all your scouting comes from all 22, but how important is it to kind of watch a game tonight and get a feel for the flow of the game and how plays are called, both offensively and defensively, in certain situations and things of that nature?
Definitely. I think it's very important. I love watching your opponent play live, whether it's, last week watching Washington, play while you're on a Monday night schedule, or, things like that. So I think it's real important to, anytime you got a chance to watch them live. I think that's why the scout, the personnel department, when they send the scout, it's, it's the things that you can't see on the coach's tape. You get a feel for the pace of operation. You can feel the emotion, the communication, all those little things. And obviously with all the different TV angles, particularly in a national game like tonight, hopefully you'll be able to see some other things. But it just I think it's definitely helps you, and I think it's a real healthy dose in your preparation.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. You said you are who you are after 4 weeks. Can you couch that a little bit, considering you haven't had all your pieces and you lost Dak in week 1?
I mean, you can couch it, but just like Clarence does, he goes right to the facts. It is what it is. I mean, the video is that's what the opponent is studying. That's the number of runs that you have, the number of passes, the number of pressures. It's the statistics of tendencies now start to you start to have trends that you play to, and really. Like there's a segment that I'll do with the team on comparables, just statistics, just to give a general idea where the stress points are and so forth. Don't even use them the first 4 weeks because, you open up against Tampa. We're probably 1 or 2 passing team in the league last year. They come in and run the ball. So that's the normal September football, but it's been my experience. So that's why it's actually a little more fun to play because you just line up and trust your concepts, trust your training camp work, trust the menus, and play to the reps that you've invested. No different with players. Sometimes, we all can, have to do a check as a play caller, and particularly, not just in times of Marty Schottenheimer used to say it all the time to us. Just think of players, not plays, and it's in September is definitely a focus on that outlook.
Sam Gannon, Fox 4. Coach, it's clear that Cooper is far more than a game manager. Just from your perspective with what he's shown in these last 3 wins, has he exceeded your expectations for what he's been able to do, or is this just something, I know you're asked about this in different ways, but is this just what you've seen from him all along?
Yeah, I'll make it clear he's not a game manager. I think there's times, in this league, particularly based on the experience of your quarterback, or if you have some other challenges that you're going up against, whether it's injury, numerous matchup challenges, whatever. There's a mode of calling plays where you can play not to lose versus playing to win. And I think clearly, if you look at the way we've lined up on offense, we've committed schematically to certain things that we feel give us the best opportunity to be productive offensively, but we clearly have not taken the ball out of Cooper Rush's hands. He's not out there managing a game and, just trying to move field positions. So I think the fact that, we have been able to stay the course and play the way we want to play is a testament to him, and I think it's a reflection of our confidence that we do have in him.
Clear.
Michael Gallup, I don't know what you expected in his first game back to play as many snaps as he did, certainly have the impact he had. Let's speak to the process and how y'all managed, and so when he could come back, he could have the impact.
Yeah, definitely. We all just like you wanted to see him get going, and then once he was comfortable, obviously, let's not kid ourselves. A touchdown was a huge play. That's you think about. He makes that play. He's coming off the field. You can see the reaction of his teammates. And I know where my mind went. Here's a guy that you've seen out on the field every day for the last 8 months going through rehab, and now he's back. So that's a threshold moment for him. And as he got into the flow of the game, I watched him pretty exclusively when he was in there early, but he felt great. And so. We were looking probably 20, 25 plays. I think he went to 39, and it was just based off of how he felt and how he looked.
Deep shots, driving the pass in the field. That's what he brings to you guys. His ability to get.
Oh yeah, he's one of the finest deep ball guys that I've had to coach. As far as running a go route and playing inside that red line, catching the ball in the phone booth, and creating a box. That is definitely probably one of his best routes.
Yahoo Sports. I know you're focused on Rams next week, what you're moving forward, but Jerry said yesterday that it would be an injustice not to give you credit as a head coach for what you've done. When you hear that, what goes through your mind, and is that Jerry?
Why are you laughing? What's she laughing at? Yeah, it's injustice. Well, hey, I think you guys should listen to Jerry more. I don't know. No, I think it's nice. It's always nice when people say nice things about you. But I think this, particularly my relationship with Jerry, I've always enjoyed our conversations privately, and I've always have walked away from those conversations with a lot of confidence, and and I think it's good to have that type of relationship. So, so my point is, he says nice things to me privately too. So,
John.
Jim, show the Athletic. It seems like as your time as Cowboys head coach, you seem to err on the side of caution when it comes to injuries with guys. It doesn't seem like you want them to come back too early. Is there an injury in the past that maybe you dealt with that you thought that maybe somebody came back too soon, or where does that kind of come from?
Here in Dallas?
Yeah,
I'm trying to think back. I'll say this. I think like anything, especially in the area, in the medical area of our game, whether it's studying stress, the stress fatigue injuries, all those things. I just think I know I am so much more educated. You have more experience. I think just like anything, if I just slept at the Holiday Inn tonight, I'd be a doctor tomorrow. So you've been in so many of those conversations. I think and trust isn't the right word. I just think because when guys do come back early, what happens is if they do get hurt, then now it's a bigger deal than if you would have waited one more week. So I think it's just trusting the information, being around the block a few times, and just seeing that. Because and the players know their body better than anybody. And I'm the wrong guy to talk to about, because when I ask a player if how he's feeling, I'm good, coach. I'm ready to go, and that's 100%. That's normally what they say to you. But it's you have your internal resources, your external resources, and I just think there's a lot more education out there, and there's more resources to make these decisions clearer. And one thing you got to add to is we play 17 games now. I mean that is a factor, and I know it's part of my thinking.
Scholar.
Skyler Dixon with the AP. This is a little bit related to that. You talked about Gallup getting some padded practices under him before he played. With that, do you want to see him in a padded practice before he comes back, or is this situation fluid enough that it might not be allowed?
Oh no, definitely. I definitely want to see Dak go through a full week of prep before he plays. I mean, I think that's all. I mean, we're not talking about being out 1 week here, or two. I mean, this is going to be a month, and yeah, definitely, I'd like to see him go through a full week. And we got 4 7-day runs here, so I think it'll time up.
Like you were talking earlier about, like you say, in the first month, you don't even show the comps like you do as the season goes along. Have you found, and you talked about situational football, have you found now that you're not calling the plays and you're in the middle of that you do kind of step back and make sure that we don't give these guys too much information across the board in any area? I mean, is that part of
talking about in the game, during the game?
Just going into the game, because like you said, that's the thing you're always balancing. You want to give them information to succeed, but not too much information. And do you have a better view of it when you kind of get to step back and look at the whole?
Yeah, and I think just like anything, when you are coordinating the game plan, someone needs to check you for your volume, and I know that from doing it for 2 decades in this league. So I mean, there's a system of your run count, your pass count, because at the end of the day, you can't. I grew up in the era of 120 passes in a game plan. I don't believe that's necessary today. I think there's so much more you want to do situationally, and frankly, you have to do it with less time in the off season and in training camp. So all those things factor. But really, your question is about volume control. And so, yes, I do have a process. How many play action passes, and and the defense is a little differently because we have our top 20 calls that we've invested a ton of time in. So that's really our starting point every week. How we're going to come off the 20, or what 20 we're going to emphasize, and make sure the variations. And because as you get going here, it's week 5 moving forward. I'm a big believer. It's more about you and yourself, Scott, and just make sure you're not giving the other guy a tip or an edge, before the ball snap. Because at the end of the day, our job as coaches to make sure our players are in position to win the pre-snap, to make sure it gives them a better chance to have successful, once the ball is snapped.
Mike Haley, DallasCowboys.com. You touched on a little bit, you're the last guy to go to when it comes to injuries, but when you see something like maybe what's going on with the Dolphins and Tua Tagovailoa, you know, a player's going to tell you that they want to play. I guess how much does that change the conversations that you're having with the doctors now that we've had an incident like that this season, or does it change at all?
Well, I think it reinforces, you know, just, you know, what you have in place and the people that have to make those decisions. But yeah, I mean, that's all part of when they talk about relationships, you know, with coaches and players, you know, support staff and players and support staff and coaches. I mean, it's all those things. You know, it's just not the ability to communicate, but it's getting to know one another, knowing when a guy is hurting more than he may let on to, and to me, that's all part of your culture. I mean, these are all characteristics, in my view, of what makes cultures thrive. So it's the definition going deeper into the relationships and having an understanding. So, and when you do have these medical situations, I think it's only right to be, going back to John's question, is to be cautious. You're never wrong being too cautious, you know, when it comes to that aspect of the game.
Mike, Todd Archer with ESPN. How much do you have to have crisis management skills as a head coach? You lose Jordan in pregame warmups. Here comes this guy. You lose Tyron. You lose Dak. How much does your reaction to those situations, do you think, feed down to the players and the coaches and the team?
Well, I think it's two things. I think number one, you know, the definition of a crisis, and number two is, you know, having experience. And if you're in an area where you don't have experience, you obviously rely on others that have those experiences. So, yeah, I don't view losing, you know, a player right for a game as a crisis. The timing of it was, you know, not the best. I mean, you know, you'd like to have that information before the 90-minute meeting, because, you know, you end up lining up with 47 players. So, I mean, that's the part that, but these things happen. This is actually the third time this has happened to me, where I had Chad Clifton, it happened to me twice in Green Bay, so where something happened after the 90-minute, where you're actually had Terrell Smith happened to us down there in New Orleans, you know. So, you know, you lose your starting fullback, you know, an hour for the game, so you make adjustments. So, yeah, I don't, you know, I think there's bigger things that you react differently to, but fortunately I've done this long enough that there aren't too many things that you don't have an answer for right away.
Last three. John.
Can you speak to just the defense? It's up to just a blistering pace against progressively better.
Yeah.
What are the heights that this defense can reach?
What's the last?
The heights the defense can reach.
Well, the heights the defense could reach, I think just like anything, just stay focusing on it. I've said it 3 times and already, self-Scott. I think you look at the 4 games we've played in, obviously people are coming at it, they're challenging our run defense because, frankly, they probably don't want to deal with our pass rush, 3rd and 5 or more. So we just got to really stay focused on our run defense. I think that's going to be our biggest challenge moving forward. If I was playing against our defense, that's the way I would go. So I think just with that, and because the better we play on 1st and 2nd down, obviously it's really going to play to our strength on 3rd down. But we just got to keep taking the ball away. This bunch is I thought we were excellent at it last year, and so there's a standard that's been set, and we just want to stay after it. And we had 2 Sunday. Actually, I had a chance for a couple more. So run defense and takeaways, I think we'll get to any heights that I don't really look at the records and so forth, but I think we definitely have room for improvement.
Go.
Dak, what's the plan this week? Did he try to throw anything today? Or
Dak has a doctor's appointment tomorrow, so we'll probably have some more information once he gets done with that.
You juggled the O-line a little bit, obviously. How did those guys grade out?
Yeah, definitely have some things to learn from. I thought our left side, playing the different combinations, so that we just not the easiest thing to do on a short week. So I think a full week of getting the communication, and we had a couple of things that we were not intact as far as the combination blocks and so forth. I thought they did a really good job, particularly Payne and Allen, winning the 2nd and 3rd reaction. So those are the things we need to focus on.
Kyle,
Youmans, DallasCowboys.com. Have you noticed a difference in the way teams are playing and scheming against Mike Parsons over these last couple of weeks compared to the first 2?
I think the biggest thing is, they're clearly identifying them. I think Mike is so disruptive, and he creates some really good situations for his teammates around him. So, but yeah, I think just from they're chipping him, you're thumping him. He's part of the declaration anytime he's clearly in between the tackles. So he's definitely getting the attention that I don't remember exactly the point last year when it became full throttle, but he's definitely they're looking for him when they break the huddle. Good.
All right. Zach Martin left briefly in the second half yesterday. Is he okay?
Yes, I'm told he'll practice Wednesday. Yes.
Babe, you got it.
Cooper Rush came here middle of your first year.
Yes.
I'm assuming you didn't know a whole lot about him before he got here. And he's not a guy where you bring him in and he wows you, assume you're going to look at him. So when did you get sold on him? And how did he, did they have to sell you on bringing him back in here when he got released?
Our whole process of, the quarterback room, the quarterback school, you get to learn a lot about these guys. You get to, and especially the way we do the quarterback school, year round too. So, I liked them fundamentally. Early, I'm always looking at new guys of, hey, what can we do to, can we adjust their ball carriage? Is there something that we can help them with, footwork wise and so forth. So, as far as the way he came in, it was seamless. And obviously he had a prior relationship with Kellen and Doug. So I thought that he was a really good fit for the room. Support of one another is such a big part of the dynamics of the quarterback room. And so he definitely has that understanding of his role, clear understanding mentally. He has the sponge that I always look for, because quarterbacks they got to be sponges. It has to roll off their tongue. It has to, all those things. So he has that. But the reality of it is, you really don't ever really know until you get into a game, live action with a guy. I could go back through my whole coaching career, particularly quarterbacks. I can remember Matt Hasselbeck, playing his extremely well in a preseason game against the Broncos up in Madison. You're like, hey, this kid has, this kid Aaron Brooks, first time he went in and replaced Jeff Blake after Jeff broke his foot against the Raiders down there in 2000. So that moment, Aaron Rodgers playing down here in Dallas on Thursday Night Football, and he goes in and gives us a chance to potentially come back and win the game. So those are moments where in games where you feel like, okay, that's a threshold, and I think we had that guy. So my point with Cooper was really the Minnesota game. When he went in there last year and played the way he did, and up at that venue, that's real quarterback play too. So that was a tough night, Halloween night. So that I would say that is the moment that I felt really, really good about Cooper.
All right, Sam.
Coach.
Did you say 3 or 30?
I know. Yeah.
You can't turn down Sam.
Well, I know the coordinators are excited to get in there. I'm going to get on to the Rams. Yeah.
Just another question about the defense. Yesterday, Cooper said the reason why you guys are winning is because of the defense. What would you say to that?
Well, I think they're clearly and it's what you want your defense to be. You want your defense to be the thermostat, and because the thermostat regulates the game, and they are clearly the thermostat for us. They make no bones about it. They keep us, they're going to keep us in striking distance because of just the way they're playing, and you could really see this probably middle of the season, end of the year last year. So now with another off season, and all of our young guys are growing up, and the combination of that draft class and the free agent class from 2 years ago. I think you're just seeing the fruits of the benefits are coming to light too. So, but they are definitely our thermostat.
All right.
Good.
Thank you.